My fellow Americans, there's a story the world has already told us. A story written not with ink, but with blood, collapse, and silence. A story stretched across the deserts of Egypt, the mountains of Persia, the coasts of North Africa, and the once lively streets of Baghdad. It is a story that we in America must hear, because though it comes from faraway lands, it is written with letters of warning for us. The rise and ruin of great peoples. Long before New York's skyline touched the clouds, long Baghdad, the jewel of Mesopotamia, was for a time the capital of the world's knowledge, a meeting place of mathematicians, doctors, philosophers, and engineers. In the 9th century, it shined more brightly than Paris or London ever dreamed. But wars torn from within, imposed theocracy, and suffocating laws strangled the mind of the city. Today, Baghdad is remembered not as a birthplace of genius, but as a graveyard of broken dreams. Lebanon, in the 1960s, was called the Switzerland of the Middle East. Banks, universities, theatres, free markets, all made the land sparkle with prosperity. But as sectarianism and Islamist uprisings took root, civil war consumed the nation. From riches to rags, from freedom to ruin. Iran before 1979 was modernizing, expanding universities, growing open cities and culture. Then the revolution came. The veil was dragged across the nation, and behind it came dictatorship, poverty, sanctions, and fear. Afghanistan in the 1970s still had universities where women and men walked freely together, where art and music thrived. Then came the long shadow of political Islam, the Taliban. Books were burned, music was silenced, women were imprisoned in their homes, and famine became the daily meal of millions. Gaza, once holding a minority of Christians, a modest economy, and some measure of balance, became enslaved to Hamas. Today, unemployment, hopelessness, and ruins. And beyond this, North Africa. Before the year 690, the land of the Berbers was still alive with Christian kingdoms, heirs of Rome. Cities stood proudly with basilicas. Families spoke Latin and Berber. Traditions stretched back to Carthage and to Augustine of Hippo. Then came the conquests. Churches became mosques. Languages were smothered. Resistance was drowned in blood. Carthage was destroyed. Timgad, once full of Roman architecture and thriving life, was in Morocco, in Algeria, in Tunisia. The story was always the same. Forced conversions, Arabization, the slow erasure of an older identity. From Africa, armies crossed into Spain, and for centuries the Iberian Peninsula lived not under its own heritage, but under Islam. Many tried to resist, some survived, but the cost was a continent transformed under compulsion. All these lands believed themselves eternal, and yet each one fell when vigilance was lost. A mirror for America. Now, Americans, why repeat this story? Because history is a mirror. And if we are too distracted by our comforts, our entertainments, our politics of division, to look into that mirror, the reflection may become our fate. Civilizations do not usually die with a bang, they wither. Freedom is not usually stolen overnight. It is bargained away, little by little, in the name of safety, in the name of compromise, in the name of tolerance for the intolerant. Beware, the danger does not always appear as an invading army storming the shores. The danger often begins quietly, disguised as cultural change, new laws, or alternative values. In some places, it starts with restricting a teacher from speaking honestly, silencing a journalist's pen, or mocking the faith of your fathers until you are too embarrassed to defend it. Eventually, what begins with whispers ends in chains. Look back at those nations. Look carefully. Freedom dissipated because people said, it cannot happen here. The American choice. So I speak to you, citizens of this republic. You live in a land born of liberty, built on a constitution not of tyranny, but of restraint, forged by men who knew the fragility of freedom. They warned us, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. They understood what the ruins of Carthage and the corridors of fallen empires had already taught. If America stands idle, if we surrender vigilance, if we believe that our wealth or technology or weapons make us immune, then we too may one day be studied in history as one more nation that believed itself untouchable until the shadow fell. But it does not have to be so. The end is not written yet. The call to defend civilization. Therefore, let this be said clearly. Cherish your freedom of speech. Fight for it when it is under assault. For if you cannot speak, soon you cannot think. Protect the sanctity of your heritage and the culture of liberty. For when it erodes, so does your identity. Strengthen your defenses, not only with weapons, but with a clarity of mind and purpose, knowing exactly what you stand for and what you refuse to accept. Make it clear to your children what their inheritance is, not merely land or money, but liberty paid for in the blood of generations. The story of Alexandria, of Baghdad, of Carthage, of Kabul is not simply history. It is a warning siren. Those ruined pillars call out across the centuries. Do not repeat our mistake. America is not fated to fall, but if America forgets, if she becomes complacent, if she lets her walls, spiritual, cultural, moral, crumble, then her fate may echo theirs. So let us vow, not here, not now, not this nation. The torch of liberty will not be smothered by compromise with tyranny. The culture of freedom will not be surrendered to ideology that despises it. The civilization built on faith, reason, experiment, self, and courage will stand. Americans, history has already written the warning in bold type. We need only read it and resolve. The collapse that befell others will not be the fate of the United States of America.